The XFL is back. What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dylan, and I'm here to discuss the news about the resurrection of the XFL. You guys heard about it a couple weeks ago. I know it's a little bit late, but I wanted to get this full video up with some good editing. So we're going to talk about how it can succeed in 2020 when it returns. But first, before I do that, I must give a brief history of the original XFL so I can give some kind of context as to how it failed and how it succeeded the first time. Some things that it did succeed, sometimes it did fail. If you want a full movie describing the history of the XFL, I strongly recommend watching the ESPN 30 for 30. This was the XFL. It goes into a lot more in-depth stuff about certain games and all this stuff, but this is just a shortened backstory as to the XFL back in 2001. So I hope you guys enjoy here. In the year 2000, WWF owner Vince McMahon and NBC executive Dick Ebersol joined forces again to create a new football league called the XFL. Now, a lot of people call it the Extreme Football League, but there's actually no real acronym for the XFL, surprisingly enough. Dick Ebersol jumped on board based on the past working relationship with Vince after the success of Saturday Night's Main Event on NBC back in the 1980s, and NBC needed a new source of income after losing its TV deal with the NFL after Super Bowl 32. Vince McMahon wanted to buy the CFL first, but after failing to do so, created the XFL to give fans an alternative to NFL, and with the success of his wrestling company, thought he could merge the two fan bases together. On February 3rd, 2000, Vince McMahon held a press conference to announce the new league. He announced that there would be 8 teams, with the 2 best teams playing an XFL $1 million championship game, and the league would start exactly 1 year from the press conference on February 3rd, 2001. And herein lies probably the biggest issue with the original XFL. There was not enough time to make the product successful. When the introductory press conference took place, there was no team names, locations of teams, set locations for where teams were going to play, a draft so players could get organized with the team. Hell, they didn't even have the other 2 TV deals set in stone until later on, which would be UPN and TNM. With this, it all felt very rushed and non-organic. How was an organization, especially one like the XFL or Football League, going to be successful in such little time with almost no preparation? On top of this, the XFL was extremely lacking in talent. This wasn't a USFL situation where future Hall of Famers Jim Kelly, Steve Young, and Reggie White played, and also a couple of guys that were playing in the NFL back at that time period went over to the USFL to get more opportunities. No, this was very subpar talent who didn't even belong on NFL practice squads. Add to the fact that they only had 30 days for team training camps, and you get some quite honestly below average football. I don't understand why the original XFL went with this game plan of, hey, we're going to do this so quickly, we want to get this out there in time without letting it succeed. It's just not a good business plan. You have to let things go. You have to be patient with it in order for it to work, and it felt very rushed from Vince McMahon's part. The first league game, which took place February 3rd, 2001, was pretty successful, however, drawing 54 million viewers on its original broadcast and a 10.2 rating for men ages 18 to 34, which, to put in perspective, was better than ABC's average Monday Night Football rating of 9.5 in the 2000 NFL season and better than the 8.2 for the 2000 World Series. The problem was when people tuned in to watch the game, they saw a pretty terrible game between 2 teams that were just not prepared whatsoever. And the viewers saw right through it as the Week 2 NBC ratings went down to a 4.8, which is still more than they wanted to get out of the original broadcast of 4.5, but going from the official ranking of 9.5 to a 4.8 is devastatingly bad. It's awful. And ratings would even fall to worse levels when on March 17th in the Week 7 broadcast did a 1.6 rating, which, to put in perspective, was the lowest rating for a primetime program on one of the 4 major networks ever. ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. It was the lowest rating for a primetime network show ever. The ratings would stay in this terrible region, with the $1 million championship game only getting a 2.1 rating. After the 2001 season, the XFL disbanded and stood as one of Vince McMahon's biggest failures, losing him $60 million in the process. Yes, Vince put that much money, time, and effort into the XFL, and yet it failed miserably. However, we can trash talk the XFL for what it was back in the day and how big of a failure it was. It did bring some pretty good things to the sport of football that we could look at in 2018 with new eyes and say that was pretty good in general. First, they had incredible hype to promote the XFL, as you can tell by this commercial.
There's a new brand of football coming. A league where players must train harder and push themselves to the extreme. Passing drill. Blocking drill. Obstacle course. Oh, and did we mention no fair catches? The XFL is coming to UPN this February.
The hype was tremendous. I mean, they were promoting something big with this. They were going all the way with it, and they wanted to promote it as big as possible. So even though some of those things were not going to happen, the explosions and the boulder and all that stuff, they were getting people invested into this new kind of football. Also, they had nicknames on jerseys to stand out. It's kind of unique. Obviously, the biggest one being He Hate Me, who's the biggest star of the XFL the first time around. It's different. It's not something that you get in the NFL. They had a scramble for the football, so there was no coin toss to start off the game. Did injure a lot of people, but again, I'm saying these are things that stood out for the XFL. One big one that also helps with the NFL is the Sky Cam. Yes, the XFL's big attraction in terms of camera views was that they were going to use a Sky Cam where you could see obviously from high above, get different camera angles. The NFL does it a lot, especially we saw it in 2017. NBC did it when the Patriots and the Falcons were playing in the fog game, and they had to get the Sky Cam so we could actually watch the game. And NBC during its, CBS during its Thursday Night Football coverage decided that the biggest view was going to be the Sky Cam. So the NFL really relies on the Sky Cam, and we wouldn't be here without the XFL to have it. Coaches and players were mic'd up. This is also another big thing that they had here. The coaches and players were mic'd up so you can get the most in-depth look from XFL players and coaches, how they were going to game plan, how they were reacting to some of the big plays on the field. We see that all the time. NFL mic'd up is one of the most popular things you hear in the NFL landscape. You want to hear what players are thinking about and what they're going to do, how excited they are. We've seen that for a long time, but the XFL really made that thing popular by getting us as close to the players on the field as humanly possible. So what does the XFL need to accomplish in order to succeed in 2020? Well, here's a few ideas. First off, give us some of that amazing hype again. This is the thing here. The XFL, the first time around, did a tremendous job of hyping up their product. The NFL does a very good job of hyping up their product. In order for the XFL to be successful again, it has to grab viewers' interest by saying, well, this failed once, why are we going to watch it again? You have to create something different. And promoting it as over the top as possible could attract some people to watching the game. So that's one thing I would consider. Second, this is the big one for me. Do not compete with the NFL. Vince, on multiple occasions in the original XFL, said that the NFL was the no-fun league and the XFL was the extra-fun league. That's not going to work. If you challenge the NFL on anything, the NFL is going to absolutely kick your ass because the NFL has stayed a big empire for so long, and a new organization is going to try to overtake them so quickly. Not possible. And that was the biggest falter of the XFL. You can see by the blimp picture here, they were really trying to compete, and it just didn't work. You need to become the alternative to football, to the NFL, not the bigger organization, because that will not work at all. Bring something new to the table. You guys brought the Sky Cam, you brought the mics. The pay was actually pretty interesting as well. Certain players would get this amount of money. If you win more, you're incentivized to get more money. It's not like the NFL's pay raise where you get a certain contract and you do that amount. No, it's a little bit cheaper because the players are obviously not as talented in the XFL as they are in the NFL, but they did something unique with the pay raise. So here, I'm thinking you need to bring something to the table. Maybe get like a camera view from the stands. You can have somebody as a fan be part of the camera crew or something. You know, get us a little bit different look at the XFL, something that the NFL will not offer us. That's what I'm looking. Sign some credible free agents. I know it's kind of hard. Manziel's not on the list because he has a criminal record and they don't want him. But a guy like Colin Kaepernick, I mean, you would bring interest right there. Oh, Colin Kaepernick's playing football. The NFL looks like they're kind of shutting him out at this point. I don't even know if Colin Kaepernick wants to play, But I think it would be an interesting signing to get Colin Kaepernick. You can get a guy like Tim Tebow. You need 2 or 3 big names, maybe guys that are kind of past their prime at this point, but can bring some kind of interesting buzz to the organization. I think that would be awesome. And finally, this is a very, very key one. Be patient. You have to be patient in order for this organization to work. We saw it the first time around that the XFL wanted to speed through the process, and for the most part, it sucked. They said it's going to be 2 years from now, so it looks like there's more time to get the team names going, the locations, the commentary, all this stuff, the players and the training camp. They have to be patient with this new XFL because if they go through as fast as they did the first time, it will not work. So the XFL, please be patient with your product and you could be reaping the benefits. Thank you guys for watching this XFL video. What are your thoughts on the XFL? Tell me if you watched the original XFL. What do you think that they could do to be successful in 2020? I'm excited personally to get this kind of alternative football organization in the next couple of years. I'm excited for it. Tell me what will work, what won't work. I know some people hate it, but I want to hear your feedback in the comment section. So comment, like the video, turn on that notification bell for all the videos when they come out, and subscribe to the Bottom Line View. We're going to be grinding in the off season, putting out a lot of content, a lot of good content that you guys will appreciate. Very excited for this NFL off season. So thank you guys for watching. Dylan of the Bottom Line View. Peace.